Hello, tonight we embark on a tranquil journey back across the vast oceans of time, tracing the quiet origins of ancient Europe's forgotten sea kingdom. Before the grand palaces rose and majestic ships claimed the waves, there was only the raw, untouched beauty of a majestic island waiting silently in the heart of the deep blue Mediterranean Sea. The early morning sun rises above Crete, gently bathing its rugged white mountains in a warm, golden glow of peaceful dawn. A gentle Mediterranean breeze stirs wild olive trees across peaceful valleys, while steady waves quietly brush ancient limestone cliffs. Their calm, familiar rhythm has echoed along this untouched coastline for thousands of years, welcoming another tranquil dawn. It is quite amusing to imagine that long before the first ancient real estate agents could ever argue over premium sea view properties, nature was busy sculpting this landscape. The spectacular geological formation of the beautiful Aegean Sea began in earnest following the conclusion of the last great ice age, a momentous period of transition. So, before you get completely comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel, but only if you truly enjoy what we're creating here. We would also love to invite you to share your current location and local time in the comments section down below tonight. Now, slowly dim the lights. Perhaps turn on a fan, letting the steady hum of the air fill the room, and in that gentle rhythm, we quietly step into tonight's journey together. As the massive glaciers slowly melted away into the swelling oceans, the global sea levels gradually stabilized over several quiet millennia. This slow rise of the pristine waters isolated various high ridges, transforming them into the enchanting, scattered islands we recognize so well today. These newly formed land masses would eventually become the vibrant, sun-drenched cradle for the magnificent Minoan civilization, which flourished under the perfect open skies. The earth itself seemed to breathe a long sigh of relief as the turbulent waters finally settled into a predictable, calm configuration. The local climate developed into an extraordinarily mild and welcoming embrace, characterized by beautifully warm summers and delightfully gentle, rainy winter seasons. Powerful, steady marine currents moved gracefully around the pristine shores of the island, acting like a natural conveyor belt of thermal regulation and nutrients. These predictable watery highways would one day guide human explorers, but for now, they belonged exclusively to the great deep blue sea. High above the crashing surf, vast flocks of colorful migratory birds regularly filled the bright sky, utilizing Crete as a vital resting station. On the rocky, precipitous cliffs, the wild Cretan ibex, or cri-cri, leaped effortlessly between dangerous ledges with an astonishing grace that modern gymnasts could only dream of envying. A rich, fragrant carpet of native herbs like wild dittany and thyme slowly blanketed the rolling hills, filling the clean air with perfume. This pristine world existed in absolute harmony, a magnificent sanctuary almost entirely untouched by the heavy, transformative footsteps of early human beings. Modern scientific research confirms the fascinating geographical reality that Crete stands proud as the single largest and most varied island within the entire nation of Greece. Its unique positioning places it precisely at the historic crossroads where the major continents of Europe, Asia, and Africa nearly meet. This central location turned the beautiful island into an important natural maritime bridge across the vast expanses of the deep Mediterranean waters. It is almost as if the planet itself had deliberately placed this massive stepping stone in the sea, knowing exactly how history would unfold. Long before maps existed, this strategic placement ensured that Crete would naturally attract the curiosity of early wandering mariners. As the quiet centuries drifted past like soft clouds across the sun, the natural wealth of the island remained a well-kept secret. The thick forests of tall cypress and sturdy oak trees provided ample shelter for smaller wildlife while absorbing the generous winter rains. Deep natural springs bubbled up with sweet, cool water from the limestone heart of the mountains, feeding small, winding streams. These pristine waterways meandered slowly through the lowlands, creating remarkably fertile patches of earth that were ideal for supporting the miracle of life. The surrounding sea remained incredibly rich with diverse marine populations, from shimmering schools of small fish to graceful octopuses hiding in the rocks. Everything was perfectly aligned, waiting for the arrival of those who would learn to listen to the island's quiet voice. The transition from a completely wild paradise to a human home did not happen through a sudden, dramatic invasion of conquerors. Instead, it began when small, courageous groups of seafaring people first spotted the high mountain peaks of Crete on the distant, hazy horizon. Traveling in simple, sturdy watercraft, these early adventurers likely followed the seasonal movements of the migratory birds they observed. When their wooden vessels softly touched the sandy beaches of the northern plains, they discovered a land of incredible abundance and peace. These pioneer settlers did not seek to dominate the landscape, but rather chose to adapt themselves to its natural, slow-moving rhythms. They brought with themselves simple tools, precious seeds, and a deep respect for the elements that governed their new world. The earliest small communities began to establish themselves near the fresh water sources, building modest shelters from timber and sun-dried mud bricks. They found that the rich soil responded beautifully to their basic agricultural efforts, rewarding them with steady, reliable harvests of grain. The deep silence of the ancient valleys began to mix with the soft, comforting sounds of daily domestic life. It is rather comforting to think that these ancient people faced the very same challenge of waking up early that we do today. They watched the exact same morning fog lift from the low valleys, revealing the majestic outline of the distant, silent mountains. Generation after generation, their connection to this specific piece of earth grew stronger, deeper, and completely intertwined with the sea. The island of Crete was no longer just a beautiful geographical feature. It was fast becoming a living, breathing home for humanity. The foundations of a unique culture were being quietly laid in the soil, nourished by the sun and protected by the isolated waters. The stage was set for a marvelous story of human ingenuity and artistic expression to slowly unfold. As the stars appear in the dark night sky above the ancient island, we can almost feel the peaceful stillness of that distant era. The gentle waves continue to lap against the shore, a steady reminder of the enduring relationship between the land and the water. We leave the shores of early Crete sleeping peacefully beneath the protective canopy of the vast, timeless universe. The small Neolithic villages gradually emerge along the beautiful coastal plains of Crete, bathed in the soft, warm glow of the morning sun. Here, the early inhabitants established their modest homes, where the flat, fertile land meets the gently sloping hillsides, providing excellent access to both water and soil. The daily rhythm of life moves at an incredibly slow, peaceful pace, completely dictated by the natural cycles of nature. The hardworking villagers spend their quiet days carefully cultivating hardy rows of barley and wheat, which wave gently in the sea breeze. They also tend to the precious young olive trees, recognizing that these slow-growing plants require patience before yielding their rich, golden oil. Nearby, small flocks of fluffy sheep graze peacefully on the grassy meadows, their soft bells jingling occasionally to break the silence. It is rather amusing to consider that these early farmers were essentially operating the very first completely organic health food startups in European history. They do not worry about corporate deadlines or modern Wi-Fi connectivity, focusing instead on the simple weight of grain in their hands. Their thoughts are grounded in the immediate reality of the damp soil, the warm sunshine, and the promise of a good harvest. Archaeological excavations across Crete have uncovered remarkable evidence of stable early settlements. The stone foundations of modest homes reveal carefully organized living spaces, showing that the island's first farming communities chose permanence over constant movement. Their durable construction reflects a quiet commitment to family life, cooperation, and long-term survival. Inside these silent stone ruins, researchers discovered beautiful examples of early handmade pottery, decorated with simple, elegant geometric patterns. They also found numerous heavy stone mortars and pestles, which were used daily for grinding grain into nutritious flour for baking bread. These humble domestic tools have managed to survive intact since the distant 7th millennium before the Common Era, bridging the immense time gap. It seems that even 9,000 years ago, humans understood that a well-equipped kitchen is absolutely essential for a happy, comfortable home life. The ancient residents spent hours patiently shaping clay by hand, sitting outside their doorways while chatting amiably with their nearby neighbors. This quiet artistic expression marked the very beginning of a rich visual tradition that would eventually define the region. The seasonal changes on the island repeat themselves with a comforting, absolute regularity, shaping the biological rhythms of the human population. Springtime arrives with a dramatic explosion of colorful wildflowers across the valleys, signaling that it is finally time to plant the new seeds. The warm, dry summer months bring long days of bright sunshine, perfect for ripening the heavy ears of golden grain. As autumn approaches, the villagers gather together to carefully harvest the ripe olives, pressing them slowly to extract the rich oil. Winter brings cool, refreshing rain that thoroughly dampens the earth, allowing the soil to rest and regenerate for the coming cycle. This predictable, unhurried march of the four seasons provides a profound sense of psychological security and stability to everyone. We can modernly appreciate how wonderful it must have been to live without a single digital calendar tracking our daily stress levels. The early Cretans simply looked to the position of the sun in the sky and the changing color of the leaves. Their bodies are perfectly attuned to the natural world, waking up with the dawn and resting deeply when darkness falls. Fascinating maritime archaeological discoveries have revealed that these early island residents were surprisingly adventurous, engaging in sea trade at a very early stage. Even long before the Minoan civilization fully developed its legendary palaces, small boats were already navigating the open waters of the Aegean. Researchers have found pieces of dark volcanic obsidian rock on Crete that originated exclusively from the distant island of Melos. This tangible evidence proves that these ancient people possessed sophisticated seafaring skills and a remarkable willingness to explore the watery horizon. They did not allow the vast ocean to isolate them, but rather viewed it as a wide, inviting highway for connection. This early maritime activity laid the essential groundwork for the magnificent naval empire that would dominate the region later on. One can easily imagine that these early trading trips were the ancient equivalent of going on a very long, highly unpredictable road trip. The brave sailors rely entirely on their knowledge of the stars and the behavior of marine birds to navigate safely home. Each successful return brings not only valuable materials, but also exciting stories from distant, mysterious shores to share. The quiet coastal villages gradually transform into small, bustling centers of human interaction, creativity, and steady cultural development over the passing centuries. The knowledge of boat building improves slowly, allowing for the construction of slightly larger, more durable vessels capable of carrying more goods. The connection between the different communities scattered along the coast becomes stronger, weaving a shared identity across the island. The young children play safely along the sandy shorelines, watching their fathers carefully repair the fibrous woven nets and wooden oars. The older generation sits comfortably in the shade of the ancient trees, passing down vital practical wisdom to the next line. The language of the island grows richer, filled with specific terms for every wind direction and marine current. It is quite heartwarming to realize that the simple joys of family life have remained entirely unchanged throughout thousands of human generations. The comforting smell of roasting meat and baking bread still wafts through the evening air as darkness begins to fall. The villagers gather around their small fires, enjoying the simple pleasure of being together after a productive day of work. The deep blue sea remains the constant, magnificent backdrop to this slowly evolving human drama, its vastness offering infinite possibilities for the future. The gentle waves continue to patter against the shore, whispering secrets of distant lands that are waiting to be fully discovered. The horizons of the Cretan people are expanding slowly, drawn forward by an innate curiosity about the wider world. As the daylight begins to fade into a soft, purple twilight, the focus of the island naturally shifts toward the ocean. Looking out from the grassy cliffs, one can see the sharp outlines of small wooden boats returning home from their journeys. The distant horizon, which was once completely empty and silent, now shows the steady, regular presence of human exploration. These small vessels glide smoothly across the calm waters, their sails catching the very last rays of the dying sun. They represent the quiet beginning of a magnificent maritime era that will soon transform Crete into a legendary superpower. For now, the island rests peacefully in the evening light, its gentle shores welcoming the travelers back to their sweet sleep. The grand palaces of Knossos, Phaistos, and Malia gradually rise across the landscape of Crete, marking a magnificent new era of architectural achievement. These vast, sprawling structures are not built as intimidating fortresses designed to display raw political power or terrify neighboring populations into absolute submission. Instead, they function harmoniously as the vibrant, beating hearts of daily civic life, acting as community centers for all the local residents. The massive buildings blend seamlessly into the surrounding rolling hills, their open designs welcoming the natural world rather than shutting it out completely. People from all walks of life gather here daily to conduct business, celebrate seasonal festivals, and socialize with friends. It is a place where administrative organization meets human warmth, creating a remarkably unique atmosphere of shared community and mutual cooperation. It is highly amusing to realize that these ancient palaces were essentially the very first multifunctional civic megamalls in human history. There are no heavy armed guards standing at intimidating iron gates to check your identification before allowing you to enter the grounds. You simply walk into the open public areas, greeted by the sweet aroma of roasting meats and the lively chatter of neighbors. Stepping inside the magnificent palace of Knossos, you immediately find yourself walking across a vast, sun-drenched central courtyard paved with smooth stones. Elegant, monumental staircases constructed from local limestone lead gracefully up to multiple higher floors, where spacious public rooms overlook the beautiful surrounding valleys. Cleverly designed light wells cut deep into the structural core of the building, allowing soft, natural sunlight to illuminate the interior corridors. Deep within the lower levels of the palace lie the cool, shadowed storage magazines, housing rows of enormous earthenware jars. These giant vessels, known technically as pithoi, are filled to the absolute brim with rich golden olive oil and fine local wine. Nearby, formal ceremonial rooms feature beautiful stone benches and delicate altars where quiet rituals are performed to honor the protective natural deities. The most astonishing feature of these advanced palaces is the highly sophisticated network of clay pipes hidden beneath the stone floors. This remarkably complex drainage and sewage system effectively channels clean water into the living quarters while quickly removing waste from the building. It functions so incredibly well that many modern homeowners would likely envy the sheer reliability of this 4,000-year-old indoor plumbing. A fascinating and highly unusual historical fact about these grand Minoan palaces is the complete absence of massive defensive fortification walls. Unlike the heavily fortified cities of contemporary Egypt, Mesopotamia, or mainland Greece, the Minoans apparently felt no pressing need for military protection. They rely entirely on their powerful, undefeated navy and the natural barrier of the deep blue sea to keep enemies away. This total lack of defensive architecture strongly suggests a remarkably peaceful society that prioritized artistic expression and economic prosperity over warfare. While other ancient kings spent their fortunes building terrifying stone walls to keep the frightening outside world at bay, the Minoans built open porches. They preferred to sit comfortably in the cool sea breeze, enjoying the spectacular views of the sparkling Mediterranean horizon. This unique sense of absolute security allowed their unique civilization to flourish with an extraordinary degree of artistic and social freedom. The palace walls, instead of being thick and imposing, are covered in bright, cheerful plaster that breathes with life and color. Every architectural element seems intentionally designed to enhance the quality of human life rather than to restrict or control movement. Within the busy administrative offices of the palace, specialized scribes are hard at work recording economic transactions on small clay tablets. They utilize a highly complex, unique script known to modern researchers as Linear A, which consists of various abstract symbols. These dedicated accountants carefully note down the exact quantities of grain, oil, and textiles entering and leaving the massive royal storehouses. It is a deeply intriguing mystery that despite over a century of intense scholarly effort, Linear A remains completely undeciphered today. No modern linguist has successfully cracked the secret code of these ancient characters, leaving the exact spoken language entirely unknown. It is rather funny to think that a simple Bronze Age shopping list is currently baffling the smartest computer systems. These silent clay documents hold the intimate secrets of an entire empire, yet they refuse to yield their meaning to us. They sit quietly in modern museum display cases, teasing us with their neat lines of text and mysterious geometric shapes. Perhaps it is fitting that this peaceful sea kingdom keeps a small part of its ancient identity entirely to itself. As the hot afternoon sun begins its slow descent, the focus of activity naturally shifts to the indoor residential areas. The heavy wooden doors are opened wide to allow the refreshing evening sea breeze to circulate freely through the high rooms. The soft sound of stringed musical instruments begins to echo gently off the beautifully painted plaster walls of the court. The interior spaces are alive with the gentle, comforting rhythms of a community that feels completely safe in its home. Women gather in the airy upper apartments to spin fine wool and discuss the latest news from the harbor town. The men gather in the cool lower halls, quietly playing intricate board games with finely carved ivory pieces, passing the afternoon in calm conversation and friendly competition. There is a profound, beautiful sense of tranquility that permeates every square inch of these large, unfortified palace complexes. The architecture does not crush the human spirit, but rather elevates it, providing a beautiful framework for a harmonious life. The individual rooms feel intimate despite the massive scale of the overall building, offering a perfect balance of community. We can easily imagine the gentle hum of conversation blending perfectly with the distant, familiar sound of the washing tide. The palace is not a cold monument to a distant ruler, but a living, breathing house for thousands of people. It protects their bodies from the heat and their spirits from the anxieties of the uncertain world outside. As the dark shadows lengthen across the central courtyard, the palace slowly prepares itself for a long, quiet night of rest. The busy scribes put away their clay tablets, and the palace oil lamps are lit one by one with care. A deep, comforting silence gradually descends upon the magnificent stone corridors, wrapping the ancient structure in a warm embrace. The open entryways remain completely unguarded, trusting entirely in the peaceful nature of the island and the wide, protective sea. The grand palace sinks into a beautiful, undisturbed sleep beneath the brilliant canopy of 1,000 shining Mediterranean stars. We leave this unfortified sanctuary resting peacefully, its stone heart beating in perfect harmony with the timeless rhythm of Crete. The gentle morning light streams softly through the open windows of a bustling artisan workshop, signaling the start of another productive day. A skilled Minoan potter sits comfortably before his wooden wheel, kicking it into a steady, rhythmic spin with practiced ease and familiarity. His clay-covered hands move with incredible gentleness, transforming a formless lump of damp earth into a beautifully elegant vase with sweeping contours. A few steps away, a talented weaver works diligently at her tall wooden loom, bathed in the soft, natural light of the courtyard. Her fingers dance gracefully among the tightly strung threads, passing the wooden shuttle back and forth to create intricate, colorful textile patterns. The rhythmic, clicking sound of the loom provides a comforting background melody to the quiet chatter of the small, sunny neighborhood. It is rather amusing to realize that these ancient craftsmen were essentially the original inventors of the slow craft movement we love today. They do not have factory foremen screaming about production quotas, allowing them to spend hours perfecting a single painted leaf on a teacup. Their daily work is an act of love, deeply connected to the natural materials provided by their rich island. Down in the lively market square, prosperous merchants are busy checking inventory and weighing precious goods using small, carefully polished stone weights. They place small pieces of bronze, imported tin, and fragrant spices onto delicate copper scales, ensuring an honest transaction for every customer. The soft clinking of the stone weights mixes with the polite bartering of citizens buying fresh figs and warm bread. The walls of the surrounding buildings are adorned with magnificent, colorful frescoes that capture beautiful, fleeting moments of daily Minoan existence. These vibrant paintings depict playful dolphins leaping gracefully through bright blue ocean waves, surrounded by stylized fish of every shape and size. Other murals showcase delicate white lilies swaying in a gentle spring breeze, while joyful swallows swoop through a perfectly clear, open sky. The most famous frescoes illustrate daring young men and women performing the thrilling, ancient sport of ritualistic bull leaping with astonishing athleticism. These brave athletes gracefully grasp the sharp horns of a charging bull, using the animal's momentum to flip cleanly over its massive back. It is a stunning display of human agility and deep respect for nature, captured forever in bright, enduring plaster pigments. One can modernly laugh at the thought of trying to explain this extreme Bronze Age gymnastics routine to a modern health insurance agent. There are no protective helmets or soft safety mats to be found here, only pure skill and an incredible trust in gravity. This lively artwork proves that the Minoans preferred celebrating the vibrant beauty of movement rather than glorifying bloody battles. Extensive modern archaeological investigations strongly indicate that Minoan women enjoyed a remarkably prominent and respected position within their unique society. Unlike many other Bronze Age cultures where women were largely confined to the home, Minoan women are depicted participating fully in public life. They appear prominently in grand frescoes as powerful priestesses, wealthy landowners, and sophisticated leaders wearing elaborate, multi-layered, fashionable dresses. They sit comfortably in the front rows of major public festivals, engaging in lively conversation with their male counterparts without any restrictions. This high social status reflects a beautifully balanced society that appreciated the essential contributions of both genders to the community's welfare. It is a refreshing historical reality that sets this island kingdom apart from its more conservative, male-dominated mainland neighbors. We can easily imagine a Minoan woman confidently managing a major trading business while her husband is away at sea for months. She signs official documents using her own beautifully carved stone seal, ensuring that the household economy runs perfectly smoothly in his absence. Her authority is respected, her voice is heard, and her presence is woven into every level of society. The prosperous Minoan economy operates as a highly sophisticated machine, fueled by the production and export of high-quality agricultural goods. Endless quantities of rich olive oil and fine, fragrant wines are carefully sealed inside sturdy ceramic jars for long-distance transport. The islanders also trade invaluable raw metals like copper and tin, which are absolutely essential for manufacturing durable bronze tools. Their extensive maritime trade network stretches across the entire Mediterranean, connecting Crete with Egypt, Cyprus, the Levant, and the Greek mainland. This continuous flow of wealth ensures that even modest households have access to exotic luxury items from distant, mysterious lands. The ocean is not an obstacle, but a prosperous, open highway that brings the entire world right to their doorstep. It is quite fascinating to think of Crete as the ultimate maritime shipping hub of the ancient world, operating without any paperwork. The traders rely on mutual trust, shared traditions, and the high reputation of their premium quality products to secure excellent deals. This economic success allows the civilization to focus its energy on art, architecture, and the enjoyment of life. As the golden sun begins its slow, magnificent descent toward the sparkling, watery horizon, the bustling energy of the day gently softens. The potters cover their wheels, the weavers tie off their threads, and the busy merchants pack away their delicate stone weights. The entire island seems to take a long, deep breath as the cool evening shadows lengthen across the stone streets. Down at the peaceful harbor, the majestic wooden trading ships prepare to depart for their long journeys across the open sea. The sailors check their thick ropes, adjust their heavy wooden oars, and look up at the sky to read the stars. Their large, colorful sails unfurl slowly in the cooling night breeze, catching the wind with a soft, satisfying snap. These beautiful vessels glide gracefully out of the protected harbor, leaving small, shimmering wakes behind them on the dark blue water. They carry the very heart and soul of Crete out into the wide world, connecting distant cultures through peaceful commerce. The watchmen on the stone piers watch them go, knowing that the sea will always bring them safely home. The quiet rhythm of everyday life on the island continues its steady, peaceful dance, entirely undisturbed by the passage of centuries. Each day is a beautiful repetition of honest labor, artistic creation, and deep appreciation for the surrounding natural world. The people of Crete sleep soundly, secure in the knowledge that their way of life is perfectly balanced and enduring. The last rays of daylight fade completely, leaving the island wrapped in a warm, comforting blanket of quiet evening darkness. The distant, regular sound of the ocean waves provides a soothing lullaby for the sleeping artisans, merchants, and sailors alike. We leave the rhythm of Crete resting peacefully tonight, its heartbeats steady beneath the vast, protective dome of the universe. The large, wooden trading vessels of Crete glide smoothly out of the home harbors, embarking on long, unhurried voyages across the expansive Mediterranean waters. These journeys are not frantic races against time, but rather patient, calculated movements that align perfectly with the seasonal patterns of the steady marine winds. The experienced sailors navigate by tracking the familiar position of the bright sun during the day and watching the stars emerge at night. Their maritime routes lead them slowly toward the ancient kingdom of Egypt, the copper-rich island of Cyprus, the bustling ports of Canaan, and mainland Greece. As the vessels travel deeper into the open sea, the towering mountain peaks of Crete gradually disappear into a soft blue horizon haze. The vast ocean surrounds the travelers with a comforting, rhythmic motion, rocking the heavy wooden hulls as they forge ahead. It is highly amusing to imagine that these ancient sailors were essentially navigating the world's very first international maritime highway without any GPS assistance. They do not have digital radar screens or weather forecasting apps to warn them of shifting conditions during their long weeks at sea. Instead, they rely on a deep, instinctual understanding of the water, passed down through countless generations of successful navigators. Upon arriving at the grand, bustling ports of the Nile Delta in Egypt, the Minoan merchants are welcomed with genuine interest. They carefully unload their beautifully painted ceramic vases, premium olive oil, and fine textiles, laying them out on the wooden docks for inspection. In exchange, they receive smooth ivory tusks, rare blue glass ingots, and precious gold ornaments crafted by skilled Egyptian artisans. The journey then continues toward Cyprus, where the main objective is to secure heavy, oxhide-shaped ingots of pure, raw copper metal. In Canaan, the traders carefully exchange their exquisite pottery for aromatic resins, exotic spices, and fine cedar wood harvested from the high mountains. This continuous exchange of goods functions smoothly like a natural, predictable tide, enriching everyone involved without any modern bureaucratic friction. One can modernly laugh at the thought of an ancient customs officer trying to inventory a cargo hold filled with loose cumin and glass. There are no paper tax forms to fill out or complicated currency exchange rates to calculate before trading can officially begin. The entire process relies beautifully on a long-established system of mutual respect, fair bartering, and the high reputation of Minoan craftsmanship. Ancient Egyptian tomb paintings and hieroglyphic inscriptions often describe a prosperous seafaring land called Keftiu. Many historians believe this name refers to Crete and the Minoan civilization. Colorful murals even portray elegantly dressed Minoan envoys presenting finely crafted pottery and valuable gifts to the Egyptian pharaoh, reflecting long-distance diplomatic connections. The painted figures wear the characteristic, colorful kilt-like garments and styled long hair that match the beautiful frescoes found inside Knossos Palace. This tangible archaeological connection proves that the peaceful Sea Kingdom was highly respected by the greatest superpower of the Bronze Age era. It demonstrates that Crete was not an isolated island, but a recognized, integral part of a sophisticated, interconnected international community. We can easily appreciate how fascinating it must have been for these ancient travelers to experience such vastly different cultures and traditions. They walk through the monumental stone temples of Egypt, marveling at the giant structures while sharing stories of their own island home. These peaceful interactions allow for a beautiful cross-pollination of artistic styles, technical ideas, and profound philosophical thoughts across the sea. The strategic geographical placement of Crete plays an absolutely vital role in maintaining the stability of this vast Mediterranean trade network. Situated precisely at the center of the major seafaring routes, the island serves as a natural, safe haven for weary international mariners. It acts as a grand, welcoming maritime turntable, connecting the distinct economies of the Near East, North Africa, and early continental Europe. This critical role is maintained through peaceful economic cooperation rather than through aggressive military dominance, territorial expansion, or bloody conflict. The Minoans do not establish heavy, intimidating naval blockades to control the shipping lanes or extract high taxes from foreign vessels. They simply provide excellent harbor facilities, reliable trading partners, and high-quality products that everyone in the ancient world desires to purchase. It is a remarkably refreshing historical reality to observe an empire built entirely on successful commerce rather than on brutal conquest. While other contemporary rulers bragged endlessly about the number of cities they destroyed, the Minoans preferred to boast about trade volume. Their influence is measured by the widespread distribution of their beautiful pottery rather than by the graves of fallen soldiers. As the quiet centuries pass in prosperity, this harmonious maritime system appears completely permanent, secure, and destined to endure for eternity. The ships continue to return home to Crete, their cargo holds filled with the incredible material wealth of the entire known world. The people of the island enjoy a high quality of life, surrounded by beautiful art, exotic luxury items, and absolute safety. The steady hum of daily life in the busy harbor towns creates a comforting, predictable soundtrack for the local coastal population. Children continue to play among the stacked storage jars, dreaming of the day they will finally sail to distant lands. The older merchants sit comfortably in the seaside taverns, contentedly recounting their youthful adventures across the great, deep blue sea. The relationship between the islanders and the vast ocean remains one of profound gratitude, deep respect, and absolute, unwavering trust. The sea feeds them, protects them, and brings them into peaceful contact with the diverse family of human civilizations. It is a golden age of peaceful exploration, where the horizon represents opportunity rather than danger or potential invasion. However, far north of this peaceful island paradise, deep beneath the Aegean Sea, nature quietly prepares a massive shift. The Earth silently accumulates immense pressure along geological fault lines, unseen by humans living above. These slow, subterranean movements are part of an ancient planetary cycle operating on a different timescale than human history. The tranquil island of Thera, located just 70 miles north of Crete, rests peacefully atop a massive, sleeping volcanic structure. Its residents go about their daily routines, cultivating the rich volcanic soil and enjoying the beautiful views of the calm ocean. They have no way of knowing that the very foundation of their beautiful world is slowly, steadily changing. The gentle marine currents continue to carry the Minoan ships safely past these northern islands, their sails filled with the warm breeze. The transformation of the landscape will be slow, natural, and completely indifferent to the magnificent achievements of human civilization. We leave the traders sailing across the quiet sea tonight, their minds at absolute peace beneath the turning stars. The beautiful island of Thera rests peacefully in the shimmering blue waters of the Aegean Sea, located just a short sailing distance north of Crete. Long before the dramatic events that would alter its shape forever, this unique island boasts a remarkably serene landscape characterized by towering, colorful volcanic cliffs. Elegant coastal towns built with sturdy stones and adorned with beautiful murals nestle comfortably along the edges of the deep, natural harbor. The local inhabitants enjoy a wonderfully prosperous and calm existence, deeply connected to both the rich earth and the surrounding ocean. The island's volcanic soil is extraordinarily fertile, allowing farmers to cultivate premium grapes, sweet figs, and abundant crops of grain with minimal effort. The daily pace of life is slow, mirroring the unhurried rhythms of their Minoan neighbors on the larger island to the south. It is gently amusing to imagine the people of Thera living atop a restless volcano without knowing it. With no scientific instruments to warn them, they simply tend their vineyards, enjoy excellent local wine, and admire the brilliant Mediterranean horizon, unaware of the immense geological forces quietly gathering beneath their feet. Deep beneath the picturesque surface of the island, a powerful natural phenomenon has been steadily developing over several quiet millennia. The immense geological forces of the Earth are slowly accumulating pressure as hot magma rises from deep within the planetary crust. This slow buildup of energy is a completely natural, inevitable process that has occurred repeatedly throughout the long history of our planet. The sleeping giant beneath the sea breathes quietly for centuries, its slow movements entirely undetected by the busy human communities living above. The pressure grows bit by bit, year by year, trapped beneath a thick cap of solid stone that forms the island's core. It is a slow, steady accumulation of elemental power, waiting patiently for the exact moment when it will finally break free. One can modernly laugh at how we worry about minor daily inconveniences, while the planet is casually preparing a massive geological rearrangement nearby. The ancient residents continue to repair their fishing nets, build beautiful two-story homes, and paint lovely frescoes of blue monkeys on their walls. They trust the stability of the ground beneath their feet, completely unaware of the subterranean forces awakening deep below. Around the 16th century before the Common Era, this long period of silent preparation culminates in one of the largest volcanic eruptions. The event begins not with a sudden, chaotic explosion, but with a series of distinct rhythmic tremors that warn the island's population. Recognizing the familiar signs of nature's power, the residents calmly gather their most precious belongings and evacuate the island via their ships. When the main eruption finally occurs, a magnificent, towering column of white ash and pulverized rock shoots high into the atmosphere. The sheer scale of this natural event is truly awe-inspiring, releasing immense energy that completely dwarfs any human-made structure or military power. The sky turns a deep, dramatic shade of twilight as the vast cloud of ash expands outward, blocking the hot afternoon sun. This monumental display of planetary energy is an essential part of the Earth's natural cycle of destruction and regeneration. The central core of the beautiful island gradually collapses into the emptied magma chamber below, creating the spectacular deep-water caldera we see today. It is a profound reminder of the absolute supremacy of nature, executed with a calm, unstoppable geological precision. Modern scientific investigations have carefully analyzed the widespread distribution of the volcanic ash layers preserved within the deep-sea sediment. Researchers have discovered that the fine white powder was carried by high-altitude winds across hundreds of miles, reaching as far as Egypt. This extensive blanket of ash provides scientists with an invaluable, highly accurate chronological marker for dating ancient Mediterranean history. Advanced computer simulations have also revealed that the massive collapse of the island's core generated powerful tsunamis across the Aegean Sea. These massive waves rippled outward in perfect concentric circles, eventually reaching the northern coastline of Crete with significant force. The powerful water levels caused substantial damage to the low-lying Minoan harbor facilities, disrupting their prosperous maritime trade network for a period. We can easily appreciate how modern scientists act like geological detectives, carefully reconstructing these ancient events using tiny grains of sand. They do not rely on myth or legend, but rather look directly at the physical evidence left behind by the Earth itself. Their discoveries help us understand how deeply human history is intertwined with the natural cycles of our dynamic planet. The effects of the Thera eruption on Minoan civilization remain a subject of active scholarly debate. Although northern ports suffered severe damage, the civilization did not vanish overnight. Communities across Crete gradually adapted, clearing ash from their fields, repairing damaged harbors, and restoring daily life with remarkable resilience over the generations. The core administrative centers, including the Grand Palace of Knossos, remain largely intact and continue to function effectively for generations after the event. The complex trading network is gradually restored, though the shipping routes must adjust to the new geography of the northern islands. The Sea Kingdom's spirit endures, surviving one of Earth's greatest natural upheavals. It is quite comforting to realize that human communities possess an incredible innate capacity to recover and rebuild after major natural challenges. The potters return to their wheels, the farmers plant new seeds in the ashen-rich soil, and the sailors return to the water. Life on Crete resumes its steady, peaceful flow, guided by the same ancient traditions that have always sustained it. The long-term legacy of the eruption is preserved not in stories of terror, but in the unique physical beauty of the transformed landscape. The island of Thera, now known to modern travelers as Santorini, stands as a breathtaking monument to this ancient geological event. Its dramatic, multicolored cliff faces tell the silent story of the Earth's immense power to reshape itself over time. As the months pass following the Great Eruption, the vast cloud of atmospheric ash slowly disperses into the global weather systems. The sky above the Aegean Sea gradually clears, revealing the familiar, warm Mediterranean sun shining brightly down upon the water once more. The ocean returns to its calm, rhythmic state, its gentle waves washing over the newly formed coastlines with a soothing regularity. A fine, microscopic layer of volcanic dust settles quietly over the entire region, resting gently upon the stone walls of the palaces. This soft gray blanket covers the landscape like a silent layer of historical dust, preserving the past for future generations to find. We leave the islands resting peacefully in this quiet afternoon light, their stones sleeping soundly beneath the gentle touch of time. The resilient coastal communities of Crete gradually embark on a quiet journey of recovery and renewal following the momentous volcanic events of the north. In the spacious workshops of Knossos, Phaistos, and Mallia, the comforting hum of daily human activity slowly returns to its familiar, reassuring rhythm. The specialized palace scribes carefully resume their inventory tracking, while the industrious potters begin shaping new clay vessels to replace those lost to the waves. This steady recovery demonstrates that the foundations of Minoan society are remarkably deep, allowing many major administrative centers to continue operating effectively for several generations. The grand stone courtyards still host festive community gatherings under the warm sun, where citizens share food, wine, and hopeful stories of the future. The physical scars on the landscape are slowly covered by a rich carpet of wild grass, blending the past into the earth. It is rather amusing to observe that despite nature's grand attempt to completely wash away their coastal economy, the Minoans simply picked up their brooms and started sweeping. They do not hold dramatic political debates about climate change or infrastructure funding, preferring to simply rebuild their wooden docks with practical, quiet determination. Their focus remains on daily work sustaining peaceful island life across countless generations. Meanwhile, across the shimmering blue waters on the rugged mainland of Greece, a distinct and formidable new culture is steadily rising to prominence. The Mycenaean people, operating from heavily fortified citadel cities like Mycenae and Tiryns, are rapidly expanding their economic, trade, and geopolitical influence. They observe the temporary disruption of the Minoan maritime trade network as a perfect opportunity to establish their own presence in the Mediterranean. The Mycenaeans develop a society shaped by powerful warrior elites and impressive fortified citadels. Through expanding trade, diplomacy, and growing regional influence, they gradually become part of the commercial networks long centered on Crete. This shift in power unfolds over decades, reflecting a steady process of political and economic transformation rather than one sudden conquest. One can modernly laugh at the image of these mainland warriors trying to adopt the sophisticated, high-fashion styles of the artistic Minoan court. They trade their heavy bronze armor for elegant linen tunics, attempting to navigate the complex social etiquette of the unfortified island palaces without tripping over their swords. This peaceful cultural exchange allows both unique societies to learn from each other, creating a fascinating blend of traditions. A truly remarkable archaeological discovery confirming this gradual shift in administrative control is the sudden appearance of a new script known as Linear B. Around the year 1450 before the Common Era, this distinct writing system begins to replace Linear A on the clay tablets of Knossos. In the middle of the 20th century, brilliant researchers successfully deciphered Linear B, proving it to be an archaic form of early Greek. This monumental linguistic breakthrough reveals that Greek-speaking administrators from the mainland had quietly assumed key management positions within the Grand Palace infrastructure. These new scribes utilize the familiar clay tablet medium to record the exact same agricultural products, including olive oil, sheep wool, and local wine. The language used to manage the palace wealth had changed, yet the fundamental economic machinery of the island remained completely intact. It is highly amusing to realize that the oldest surviving text written in the Greek language is essentially a collection of boring corporate inventory spreadsheets. There are no grand epic poems about legendary heroes or romantic tragedies recorded on these silent clay tablets, only neat lists of delivery tracking. This practical reality demonstrates that regardless of who sits in the administrative offices, the daily work of society must continue. This historic transition of regional authority takes place remarkably gradually over several quiet decades, rather than through a single catastrophic military event. The shift in power behaves much like the slow, predictable turning of the tide along the sandy beaches of the northern plains. Old Minoan families continue to live in their ancestral homes, working cooperatively alongside the newly arrived mainland administrators to maintain regional stability. The famous frescoes on the palace walls are occasionally updated to reflect the slightly more formal, geometric artistic tastes of the Mycenaean rulers. Yet the playful dolphins, delicate lilies, and soaring swallows remain prominent, demonstrating the enduring, powerful influence of the native Cretan artistic tradition. The two cultures slowly merge into a unique, hybridized Bronze Age society that values both maritime trade and administrative efficiency. We can easily appreciate how this peaceful integration allowed the valuable accumulated wisdom of the island to be preserved for future generations. The newcomers do not burn down the magnificent libraries or destroy the sophisticated indoor plumbing networks that make palace life so comfortable. Instead, they choose to adopt these advanced systems, recognizing that a well-insulated home is far superior to a cold stone fortress. The maritime trade routes across the quiet sea continue to operate smoothly, though the flags flying from the wooden masts now represent a shared heritage. The ships still travel regularly to Egypt, Cyprus, and Canaan, carrying the high-quality products of Crete to eager international buyers. The global reputation of the island's craftsmanship remains entirely undiminished, serving as a powerful economic bridge between the past and the future. The local islanders adjust to these changing political winds with an admirable sense of practical adaptability, focusing their energy on what they do best. They teach the mainlanders the intricate secrets of successful deep-sea navigation, boat building, and the delicate art of cultivating premium olive groves. In return, they gain access to new trade partnerships and resources available throughout the expanding Mycenaean network on the continent. This cooperative relationship ensures that the island remains a vibrant, prosperous center of human creativity and cultural expression for many years to come. The grand palaces, while under new management, still function as the protective beating hearts of the surrounding rural agricultural communities. The collective identity of the region is changing color slowly, like the hillsides transitioning from the green of spring to autumn gold. The journey of adaptation is a peaceful, unhurried process that reflects the deep, patient wisdom of the ancient Mediterranean world. The people understand that leaders may change and borders may shift, but the relationship between the human spirit and the land remains constant. They continue to greet each morning sun with gratitude, trusting in the enduring rhythm of their beautiful island home. As evening shadows stretch across the stone corridors of Knossos, scribes carefully set aside their linear B tablets, while oil lamps fill the palace with a warm, gentle glow. Quiet settles over the ancient halls as Crete prepares for another peaceful night. Beneath the steady stars, the island rests calmly, carrying its changing history forward with quiet resilience and enduring grace. The quiet, rural villages scattered across the scenic interior valleys of Crete remain wonderfully untouched by the grand shifting of political powers. Far away from the busy administrative corridors of the central palaces, the humble country folk continue their daily routines with absolute, unwavering consistency. The morning sun still wakes the honest farmers at the very same hour, calling them out into the familiar, dew-dampened fields to tend their crops. Along the beautiful, rocky coastlines, the local fishermen continue to launch their simple wooden boats into the calm, blue waters of the Aegean Sea. They cast their heavy fiber nets into the deep ocean currents, relying on the exact same fishing techniques their grandfathers taught them decades ago. The seasonal rhythms of sowing seeds, harvesting olives, and catching fish remain completely indifferent to whoever happens to sit on the throne. It is rather amusing to consider that for the average Cretan villager, a change in royal management simply meant a slightly different name written on tax receipts. They do not spend their precious evenings debating geopolitical strategies or analyzing the complex economic policies of the new mainland administrators over dinner. Their immediate thoughts are focused on more practical matters, such as the local price of fresh goat's cheese or the weather. A gradual blending of cultures unfolds across Crete as Minoan artistry meets Mycenaean tradition. In busy workshops, skilled potters create elegant ceramics that combine flowing marine designs with balanced geometric patterns. Graceful octopuses, dolphins, and curling waves now appear beside orderly motifs, reflecting a quiet fusion of artistic ideas that develops over generations. This cultural blending also shapes religious life. Long-standing Minoan rituals continue alongside the beliefs introduced by the Mycenaeans, creating traditions that honor both old and new customs. Archaeological evidence suggests this peaceful coexistence allowed familiar ceremonies, sacred spaces, and shared spiritual practices to remain meaningful for generations across the island. One can modernly laugh at the thought of an ancient fashion designer trying to create a compromise outfit that satisfies both cultures. They combine the elaborate, flowing, flounced skirts of traditional Cretan women with the slightly stiffer, more conservative tailored tunics favored by mainland aristocracy. This unique hybrid style demonstrates a wonderful willingness to accept new ideas while proudly maintaining a strong connection to ancestral roots. Extensive archaeological excavations across Crete have revealed that traditional Minoan building techniques and crafts survived long after the great palaces declined. Researchers have carefully uncovered small provincial towns dating to later periods that still utilized the distinctive, sophisticated ashlar masonry methods of the past. These humble builders continued to construct durable stone houses with internal light wells, keeping their living spaces beautifully bright and airy. Inside these later domestic ruins, archaeologists discovered beautiful examples of delicate stone seals and intricate jewelry crafted using traditional Minoan methods. The specialized knowledge of gold granulation and stone carving was carefully passed down through successive generations of local artisan families. These discoveries prove that the artistic genius of the region was not suddenly extinguished when the royal palace storehouses stopped functioning. It is highly amusing to realize that ancient traditions are remarkably stubborn, refusing to disappear just because a grand civilization officially ends. The local housewives continued to utilize the exact same style of clay cooking pots to prepare their family dinners for centuries. This simple domestic continuity shows that the most enduring part of any culture is often found hidden within the kitchen drawer. A culture's greatest strength lives not in its towering monuments, but in its people. Palaces may crumble, walls may fade, and governments may disappear, yet traditions endure through shared memories, everyday routines, and practical skills passed quietly from one generation to the next, allowing the spirit of a civilization to outlast its stones. It lives on in the specific way a farmer trims his ancient olive trees to ensure a bountiful harvest the following autumn season. It is carefully preserved in the comforting lullabies a mother sings to her sleepy child as darkness falls over the quiet valley. These quiet, repetitive actions create an unbreakable chain of human continuity that easily spans across centuries of political transition. We can easily appreciate how this deep reservoir of cultural memory allowed the essential spirit of Crete to remain completely undefeated by time. The physical structures built by kings are always temporary, vulnerable to the elements and the unpredictable movements of history. But the intangible heritage of a people is remarkably elastic, adapting its shape to survive within any new environment. The religious sanctuaries hidden deep within the mountain caves continue to receive regular visits from pious local worshippers seeking spiritual comfort. They climb the steep, rocky paths to leave small clay figurines and pour sweet libations of wine into the limestone earth. These sacred natural spaces remain entirely unchanged, offering a profound sense of absolute timelessness to anyone who enters their shadows. The shared stories told around the evening hearths begin to subtly transform, blending historical facts with imaginative elements over the generations. The grand achievements of the past Sea Kingdom are slowly woven into beautiful legends of powerful kings and brilliant local inventors. These spoken tales serve as an important cultural bridge, ensuring that the ancient glory of the island is never forgotten. This slow, natural evolution of memory marks the beginning of a long journey from concrete historical reality into the realm of mythology. The grand palaces, now standing quiet and partially ruined among the hills, become mysterious places of wonder for the local children. The ancient stone corridors are no longer seen as simple office spaces, but as the setting for epic, legendary adventures. The people of the island continue to build their futures on the solid foundations laid down by their creative Bronze Age ancestors. They do not mourn the loss of the Grand Empire, focusing instead on the beautiful, immediate reality of their families. Life on Crete flows forward like a calm, deep river, its waters carrying the precious essence of the past into tomorrow. As the quiet night descends over the rural villages, the comforting smell of burning olive wood fills the cool evening air. The hardworking farmers and fishermen finish their simple meals, relaxing comfortably outside their stone doorways to watch the stars appear. A peaceful, deep silence wraps itself around the island, bringing a well-deserved rest to the busy communities sleeping below. The legacy of the Forgotten Sea Kingdom remains perfectly safe, guarded by the steady habits of the people who love this earth. The gentle waves continue to lap against the sandy shores, whispering a timeless lullaby to the sleeping island of Crete. We leave the enduring communities resting peacefully tonight, their lives beautifully connected to the eternal rhythm of the dark blue sea. The timeless tales of ancient Greece gradually transport our minds into a legendary world of terrifying monsters, cruel kings, and brilliant inventors. For many centuries, Western society enjoyed the dramatic story of the Dark Labyrinth, a monstrous half-man, half-bull creature known as the Minotaur and King Minos. We also learn of Daedalus, the mythical master architect who cleverly designed the impossible maze to imprison the wild beast forever. When we look beneath the dramatic layers of fantasy, these spectacular myths reveal themselves as precious vessels of collective human memory. They are not merely silly bedtime stories invented to entertain children or frighten superstitious travelers around the campfire at night. Instead, they represent the poetic way subsequent continental cultures attempted to process the astonishing, sophisticated achievements of the Forgotten Sea Kingdom. It is gently amusing to imagine the fearsome Minotaur as the ancient equivalent of a particularly grumpy neighbor. Visitors from the Greek mainland may have found Crete's grand palaces and intricate customs astonishing. Over time, memories of this sophisticated world likely blended with imagination, gradually becoming the enduring myths passed down through generations. A highly compelling scientific hypothesis suggests that the physical source for the legendary labyrinth was the Grand Palace of Knossos itself. When continental visitors first stepped inside this monumental civic complex, they found themselves completely lost within a dizzying, multi-story architectural wonderland. The sprawling palace featured hundreds of interconnected rooms, winding, narrow corridors, and elaborate, monumental staircases that seemed to lead absolutely nowhere. To a person accustomed to living in basic, single-room mud brick huts on the mainland, Knossos felt exactly like an impossible maze. Furthermore, the prominent presence of the sacred double-axe symbol, known locally as the labrys, carved into the stone walls, provided the name. The palace was literally the house of the double axe, or the labyrinth, a place where outsiders quickly lost their bearings. One can modernly laugh at the image of an ancient mainland tourist desperately trying to find the restroom inside Knossos without a map. They would wander aimlessly past countless storerooms of olive oil, accidentally bursting into formal royal ceremonies while looking for the exit. This relatable human confusion grew over generations of spoken storytelling, slowly transforming a brilliantly designed administrative building into a mysterious trap. This long forgotten historical reality remained completely buried beneath layers of earth and legend until the early years of the 20th century. A wealthy and deeply passionate British archaeologist named Sir Arthur Evans traveled to Crete with the bold intention of uncovering the truth. He began extensive, systematic excavations at the site of Knossos, slowly revealing the magnificent stone foundations that had slept for millennia. As Evans uncovered the endless maze of rooms and the vibrant frescoes of leaping bulls, the ancient myths suddenly came alive. Recognizing the deep connection between the grand ruins and the legendary king of the tales, he made a momentous decision. Evans officially named this newly rediscovered Bronze Age culture the Minoan civilization, forever anchoring the historical science to the ancient myths. It is highly amusing to realize that modern archaeology essentially adopted a name from a fairy tale to label a real empire. If Evans had chosen differently, we might be calling these peaceful people the Gnossians or the ancient Cretans in our textbooks today. This fascinating choice proves that even serious modern scientists cannot resist the romantic pull of a truly great, enduring story. The relationship between documented history and popular legend resembles two gentle streams of water slowly flowing down the very same mountainside. At first, they run along separate paths, one carrying the concrete facts of stone, while the other carries the fluid words of imagination. Yet, as time passes and generations drift away, these two distinct streams quietly merge into a single, beautifully unified river. The cold, physical stones of the palace provide the structural skeleton, while the colorful myths provide the living, breathing human spirit. We do not need to separate them completely to appreciate the profound truth that both elements offer to our understanding. The legend preserves the deep emotional impact that this magnificent sea kingdom had on the mind of the ancient world. We can easily appreciate how the memory of the bull-leaping rituals slowly transformed into the terrifying image of the bull-headed monster. The incredible agility of the young Minoan athletes became a story of innocent victims trapped inside a dark, dangerous prison. The collective memory adjusted the facts to create a moral tale about courage, cleverness, and the ultimate fall of proud kings. The grand figure of Daedalus represents the collective admiration for the highly advanced technical skills possessed by the native Minoan artisans. His mythical ability to construct wings of wax and feathers mirrors the real engineering genius required to build multi-story palaces. The stories celebrate human ingenuity while offering a gentle philosophical warning about the dangerous consequences of flying a bit too close to the sun. These beautiful myths allowed the essential spirit of the forgotten civilization to survive through the dark ages of European history. Even when the ability to read the ancient scripts was completely lost, the names of Minos and Knossos remained alive. They floated gracefully through the centuries, waiting patiently for the moment when modern science would finally dig beneath the soil. The transition from purely mythological speculation to rigorous modern scientific discovery marks an exciting new chapter in our journey of understanding. The silent stones of Crete, having kept their secrets for over 3,000 years, are ready to speak to us once more. They do not contradict the beautiful legends of old, but rather ground them in a magnificent, tangible human reality. The modern visitors who walk through the partially restored ruins of Knossos today can experience both worlds simultaneously with ease. They can admire the sophisticated engineering of the ancient light wells while imagining the terrifying roar of the Minotaur echoing nearby. The past is not dead and buried. It remains beautifully alive within the vibrant architecture of our shared cultural imagination. As the golden sunset casts long, dramatic shadows across the ancient stone walls of Knossos, the legendary maze grows remarkably quiet. The ghost of King Minos seems to fade gently into the warm evening breeze that rustles the nearby wild olive trees. A deep, comforting silence descends upon the birthplace of Europe's oldest stories, wrapping the landscape in a soft, protective blanket. The lines between what was real and what was imagined become beautifully soft and blurred in the quiet twilight air. The island of Crete rests peacefully in the cradle of the dark sea, its memories safely preserved for eternity. We leave the mythical kingdom sleeping soundly tonight, its legendary heart beating softly beneath the vast, watchful dome of the universe. The modern archaeologists work with incredible patience and gentleness, knelt upon the dry, sun-baked earth of the Cretan landscape. Using fine brushes and delicate wooden tools, they slowly brush away the fine layers of dark soil that have sheltered these ruins for millennia. Each careful movement reveals a stunning fragment of painted ceramic, a beautifully carved stone seal, or a patch of vibrant wall fresco. These precious artifacts have slept in absolute undisturbed silence for more than 3 long, quiet millennia beneath the rich olive groves. As the fresh morning air touches the ancient surfaces once again, the buried artistic genius of the Minoans gradually reawakens. The scholars handle each discovered piece with a profound sense of reverence, understanding that they are touching an unbroken chain of history. It is rather amusing to observe that these highly educated professors are essentially spending their adult lives playing in the world's most exclusive sandbox. They do not mind the intense Mediterranean heat or the dusty clothes, feeling completely rewarded by the sudden appearance of a single painted leaf. Their quiet dedication bridges the immense gap of time, allowing the silent stones of Crete to finally tell their incredible story. In recent years, the fascinating field of archaeology has been completely transformed by the rapid development of cutting-edge, modern scientific technologies. Researchers now utilize advanced three-dimensional laser scanning to create incredibly detailed, accurate digital models of the sprawling, unfortified palace complexes. This non-invasive technology allows architects to analyze the structural engineering and spatial layouts without moving a single ancient limestone block from its resting place. Furthermore, groundbreaking ancient DNA analysis of organic remains is currently providing unprecedented insights into the exact origins of the Minoan people. These genetic studies conclusively prove that the islanders were descendants of the local Neolithic farmers, rather than arriving from distant foreign empires. High-resolution satellite imagery also helps map out long-lost agricultural terraces and ancient hidden roadways across the entire rugged island. One can modernly laugh at the thought of an ancient Minoan ghost watching a scientist use a drone to map his old backyard. The ghost would likely be thoroughly confused by the strange flying machine, wondering why anyone needs a computer to find a vineyard. This remarkable blend of ancient craftsmanship and modern technology allows us to reconstruct the past with an astonishing degree of accuracy. Despite these incredible technological advancements and decades of intense scholarly research, many profound questions about this civilization remain entirely unanswered. The greatest and most tantalizing mystery is the absolute refusal of the mysterious Linear A writing system to yield its secrets. Unlike the later Linear B script, no modern researcher has successfully deciphered this complex arrangement of beautiful geometric symbols. The silent clay tablets hold the intimate thoughts, economic transactions, and religious prayers of a forgotten empire, yet they remain completely unreadable. We can see the neat rows of text clearly, but the underlying spoken language remains an absolute beautiful linguistic enigma. It is a humbling reminder that despite all our advanced computer algorithms, the ancient world can still keep a secret. It is highly amusing to realize that a Bronze Age grocery list is currently outsmarting the most brilliant code breakers on the planet. The ancient scribes did not create their tablets to confuse us, simply tracking their daily shipments of premium olive oil and fine wine. Yet their humble accounting system has become one of the most enduring, fascinating intellectual puzzles of modern times. Every new artifact discovered by the archaeologists does not disrupt the profound, beautiful tranquility of this deeply buried historical world. Instead, each small piece of pottery acts like a gentle, unhurried opening of a tiny wooden door into the past. We are invited to look inside quietly, catching a brief, peaceful glimpse of a society that valued art, harmony, and community. The goal of modern exploration is not to plunder the ruins or create dramatic, sensational headlines for global news networks. It is a patient process of listening to the quiet whispers of history, slowly gathering the scattered pieces of human memory. The silent stones do not demand our applause. simply asking for our quiet attention and our willingness to learn from their wisdom. We can easily appreciate how this respectful approach to the past allows the essential spirit of Crete to remain completely undisturbed. The ruins are not treated as dead, empty monuments, but as living classrooms that continue to enrich our shared human story. The memory of the forgotten Sea Kingdom is preserved with care, honored by those who study its elegant legacy. The ongoing excavations continue to reveal that the Minoans possessed an extraordinarily sophisticated understanding of their local natural environment. Soil analysis indicates that they practiced highly sustainable agricultural methods, carefully rotating their crops to protect the fertility of the earth. They lived in perfect harmony with the island, ensuring that their prosperity did not come at the expense of nature. This deep ecological wisdom is a lesson that resonates strongly with our modern society, offering a timeless perspective on human progress. The ancient Cretans prove that it is entirely possible to build a magnificent, wealthy civilization while maintaining a profound respect for the planet. Their silent stones serve as a beautiful, enduring testament to the power of balance and thoughtful living. As the long day of careful excavation draws to a peaceful close, the researchers gently pack away their fine brushes and scientific equipment. They cover the active digging sites with soft, protective cloths to shield the fragile ruins from the cool night air. The busy archaeological camp grows quiet, its modern occupants reflecting on the incredible discoveries made beneath the sunny sky. The ancient stones are left alone once more, returning to their familiar state of peaceful rest under the changing sky. They have survived the fall of empires, volcanic eruptions, and the slow passage of thousands of long, unhurried years. Their silence is not a sign of emptiness, but a profound fullness that contains the entire history of early Europe. The warm evening sun begins its magnificent descent, casting a soft golden light over the broken limestone walls of the old palace. The dramatic shadows lengthen across the open central courtyard, painting the ancient architecture in beautiful shades of purple and amber. The landscape seems to take a long, deep breath as the daylight gradually fades away into twilight. The ancient stones of Crete sleep soundly tonight, their secrets safely guarded by the turning earth and the deep blue sea. We leave the rediscovery of this magnificent empire resting peacefully in the warm twilight, its stone heart beating softly through time. The stage is perfectly set for our journey to reach its final beautiful destination beneath the vast canopy of stars. The long and tranquil journey through the forgotten history of ancient Europe's first sea kingdom now reaches its ultimate peaceful destination. When we take a long step back and view this entire magnificent story through the grand lens of deep geological time, our perspective changes. The 3,000 or 4,000 years that have quietly passed since the height of Minoan prosperity compress into something incredibly small. To the ever-changing Earth, shaped by drifting continents and the birth of great oceans, 3,000 or 4,000 years are only the briefest moment. What feels immense in human history is little more than a passing heartbeat in geological time. The rise and fall of civilizations become gentle ripples upon the planet's vast, enduring surface, while the world itself continues its quiet journey through the ages. It is rather amusing to consider that while we stress endlessly over the minor daily deadlines of our modern lives, the Earth views us. The planet is casually executing a multi-billion-year cosmic dance, completely unbothered by whether our historical spreadsheets are perfectly balanced or not. This grand geological reality does not diminish our human achievements, but rather wraps them in a comforting sense of absolute timelessness. The human civilizations emerge like beautiful wildflowers in the spring, flourishing brilliantly under the warm sun for a few glorious days. They develop complex writing systems, build magnificent unfortified palaces, and navigate the open waters of the vast Mediterranean Sea with confidence. Then, as the turning wheels of time inevitably move forward, they quietly dissolve back into the protective layers of the earth. The magnificent painted plaster walls and the sturdy limestone foundations of Knossos slowly crumble, becoming one with the rich local soil. Meanwhile, the pristine Aegean Sea completely ignores the changing names of human rulers, continuing its eternal movement without a single pause. The deep waters rise and fall along the rocky shores of Crete, strictly governed by the predictable, ancient cycles of the moon. One can modernly laugh at the thought of any human king believing he could ever truly possess a single wave of the ocean. The sea belongs exclusively to itself, a magnificent fluid entity that washed the shores long before humans arrived, and will do so after. This slow, predictable tidal rhythm provides a profound sense of psychological security, reminding us that the natural world remains constant. As we stand on the high cliffs of Crete in our minds tonight, the familiar natural sounds begin to return to us. The gentle Mediterranean breeze sweeps softly through the peaceful valleys once again, rustling the silver leaves of the ancient wild olive trees. Along the wild coastlines, the rhythmic, soothing sound of soft waves washing against the limestone cliffs creates a perfectly timeless background melody. Vast flocks of colorful migratory birds still fill the clear sky, utilizing the island as a vital resting station during their journeys. The wild Cretan goats still leap effortlessly between the dangerous rocky ledges with an astonishing, quiet grace that never changes. It feels as though our long narrative journey has completed a magnificent circle, returning us exactly to where we first started. It is highly amusing to realize that nature never bothered to read our historical textbooks or attend our academic lectures on archaeology. The birds sing the exact same songs today that they sang to the ancient potters working diligently at their wooden wheels. The natural world simply continues its beautiful, unhurried existence, entirely undisturbed by the complex linear progression of human historical events. The deep night gradually falls over the magnificent island of Crete, wrapping the entire landscape in a warm, comforting blanket of darkness. The modern archaeological excavation fields grow completely silent, and the small rural villages turn off their lights one by one with care. The ancient stone palaces, which once bustled with the lively energy of artisans, merchants, and scribes, sink into a gentle sleep. The graceful palaces of Knossos, Phaistos, and Mallia slowly fade into the soft evening shadows, their weathered walls glowing gently beneath the last light of day. No restless spirits wander these quiet ruins, and no forgotten voices call through the silence. Instead, the ancient stones rest peacefully, carrying the memory of a civilization whose lasting legacy survives not through sorrow, but through the calm passage of time. As darkness quietly settles across the island, the distance between the modern world and the Bronze Age seems to gently disappear. The people who once walked these courtyards no longer feel like distant figures preserved in clay tablets or fading frescoes. They become familiar companions, reminding you that across thousands of years, ordinary lives were shaped by the same hopes, kindness, curiosity, and quiet dreams. The soft, fragrant aroma of wild thyme and dittany rises from the hillsides, filling the cool night air with a sweet perfume. The brilliant stars emerge one by one across the dark canopy of the sky, shining down upon the quiet sea below. The universe watches over the sleeping island with a protective, eternal gaze that has remained unchanged throughout countless human generations. The distant, regular sound of the ocean waves provides a wonderfully soothing lullaby for the tired minds of the modern world tonight. Each soft splash against the shore washes away a little bit of our daily stress, anxiety, and frantic daytime thoughts. We are invited to let go of our worries, allowing ourselves to sink into the steady, peaceful rhythm of the sea. The story of this forgotten sea kingdom ends not with sudden tragedy, but with a quiet passage into history. The people of ancient Crete leave behind more than remarkable buildings or treasured artifacts. Their legacy lives in the enduring values of balance, creativity, cooperation, and respect for the natural world. Across thousands of years, those gentle lessons continue to echo through silent ruins, inviting each new generation to pause, reflect, and remember. The Earth continues its slow journey through the vast universe, carrying the memory of Crete within its ancient landscapes and surrounding seas. The island rests peacefully beneath changing skies, while the waves of the Aegean follow the same timeless rhythm they have kept for millennia. As this remarkable journey gently comes to an end, you are left with a quiet sense of wonder, gratitude, and deep lasting peace. The gentle waves continue their steady, regular dance against the sandy beaches, whispering a timeless message of comfort to the night. The breathing of the ocean becomes our own breathing, slow, deep, and completely relaxed under the watchful gaze of the stars. The magnificent world of the Minoans rests peacefully, its long echo fading beautifully into the quiet depths of a restful sleep. The script comes to a close. Thank you all for listening.